Hi, my name is Debunking and you're watching it in Brain English. On this video, I will tell you how you cannot convert into Hinduism. Well, you cannot convert into Hinduism because of two reasons. First thing, Hinduism itself is not a religion. When it is not even a religion, how can you convert to it? Second thing, it has a lot of segregations, groups and castes. So when you have to convert into Hinduism, you must fall into one of these. Obviously, it depends on your job and your family tree. If your job is entirely different than a family tree, it will create a conflict that in which caste you will fall into. So because of these two things, you can't convert into Hinduism. Let me tell you in detail. What is a religion? A religion is a code or principle, a collection of principle which is based on one God and a prophet. Any prophet or any God will tell some commandment or philosophy, some principles, and a prophet will brought you that prophecies and policies and in a collective forms, and you start to believe in that, and a lot of people start to believe in that, then it becomes a religion. Take it Buddhism or Jainism or Christianity or Islam, anything. There will be a God and a prophet. God will tell something to the prophet, and the prophet will collect all those things that God told him, and he will take it to the people and will spread it over the people, and people start to believe it and follow it. Then it becomes a religion. So there is two ways to make it people believe that. Either kill them, rape them, torture them, and make them suffer all the pain in the world and make them to follow that over threatening their lives. Or otherwise, give them some money or give them some life or give them something to in return to join your creed, I would say. These are the two ways. Otherwise, the people must see you and see that, oh, you follow this religion and you live good life and you have a good peace in your mind. I shall also join the force with the God, your God, then I will convert into you. That's the third thing. But the third thing never happens actually, or happens in less amount, very less amount, like 0.1%. I never see a person who converted into a religion with his own will, seeing the other good things the people in the other religion doing and joining their religion with his own wish. I never see such a person, because I only see Christianity and Islam around me. Obviously, you can't see that. So leave those things apart. Why you can't convert into Hinduism in the three ways that I quoted earlier? In all these three ways, you can't convert into Hinduism. Why? The first thing I said, Hinduism is not a religion. Obviously, Hinduism is not a religion because, as I said earlier, you must have a God and a prophet. Hinduism does not have a God and a prophet. What? Hinduism does not have a God and a prophet? What are you saying? You have 33 million gods. That's a great shit the Europeans think or they have in their mind. Hinduism never had a 33 million gods. I will make another video on that, but let me say Hinduism does not have one God and a prophet. I was very clear. Hinduism does not have one God and a prophet. Hinduism is not made out of one God. There is plenty of gods, and all those gods were created or added along with the practice, and no practice is created for one specific God. That's the first thing. There is no prophet. No one came up with prophecies and collected these policies for Hinduism, to create Hinduism. Hinduism is a collection of policies, practices and Dharma way of living, which was collected over millennia, not just 100 years or 200 years or 1,000 years, for millennia. All these practices and the dharmic way of life system were added, accumulated over a long period of time, not just in one single millennia or one single century, for hundreds of millennia. And all these practices and all these way of life must have one quality, which is it must be a dharmic value of practice. It must contain a dharma onto it. Otherwise, it will not be added to the Sanatana Dharma, the collection of Sanatana Dharma. If any practice, whatever you practice, if you practice it to create a dharmic way of life or a dharmic value out of it, then obviously it can be added to your Sanatana Dharma. Those kind of valued practices which were practiced over thousands of years were accumulated and collected as Sanatana Dharma. Before the word Sanatana Dharma was used, there was no word for this. I think it was Sankaracharya who collected all these practices. Before that, there were 6 major, not religion, a kind of sectors in these dharmic values, depending on which was the god they preferred. Their dharmic life will be the same, but the god they pray into will be different. So there were 6 different kind of major gods. All these people were following the same dharma. So Sankaracharya thought that the gods are different, but the way of life is same. They were wearing same color, the wives wearing the Mangal Sutra, the Sindoor, and their way of dressing. Everything was related or equivalent to each other or the same. Only their gods were different. So Sankaracharya thought that all these people must be united together because all their practices are same, only the gods are different. So in Sanatana Dharma, gods were never a main part. Only the godliness was the part, main thing to be considered. No matter which god you are praying to, no matter which thing you are praying as God. You can pray a pig, you can pray a dog, you can pray a parrot. Believe me or not, there are gods in Hindu Dharma who is a pig, who is a dog, who is a parrot, who is a crow. There are gods in Hinduism. Every single element you can see in the earth have a godly figure in Hinduism. Why is that? Because Hinduism believes in a practice where God is not important. The shape that you see is not important, but the divinity that you feel within that is the important thing. So a dharmic life that leads you to feel that divinity is the important thing in Hinduism, not the person that you see or makes you focused on something. It's not about your focus, it's about your feeling. You must feel the divinity, not to focus on a divine personality's shape. So that's the way of dharma or the way of dharmic life that you have to live in. That's the Hindu culture. That's the Sanatana Dharma culture. So it is not a religion because it does not based upon a god and a prophet and a collection of prophecies or policies that were given by the god or the prophet. So it's not a religion. So when it is not a religion, quote unquote, you can't convert into Hinduism because it's not a religion. It's just a way of life. So the second thing is that there is a lot of caste and communities in Hinduism. If you're coming from Christianity or Islam or other religion and you want to be a Hindu, you can't, because if you want to convert into Hinduism, obviously you had to fall into any of these groups, like you have to be a Brahmin or a Kshatriya or a Shudra or a Vaishya. So how would you place yourself into these sectors? It can be calculated by the job you are doing. But just because you are doing a job, you cannot fall into these varnas, because these varnas also depend on what kind of a family tree you are coming from. Your father had a different job, your grandfather had a different job, or you have a family job and you left that family job and joined into a new job. Obviously there will be a conflict in deciding in which varna you will fall into. So that's the biggest problem for people who are coming into Hinduism. So because of these two things, you can't convert into Hinduism. So the question comes that I love Hinduism, I like the way of life they're living, but I'm a Christian right now, or a Muslim right now, or a Buddhist right now. I want to come into Hinduism. It is not even possible. but I like it. What would I do? Obviously, you can do anything that a Hindu does to be a Hindu. Remember, I am saying it very clearly. You do not have to convert into Hinduism to become a Hindu, because being a Hindu is not being in a religion, but being in a way of life or a lifestyle. You just have to change your lifestyle. Hinduism is literally the Sanatana Dharma, a modern word for Sanatana Dharma. So anything that related to Sanatana Dharma, the way of living Sanatana Dharma, you can practice it, even if you are a Muslim or a Christian or any other religion. You know? If you want to join in Hinduism, that's not going to happen. You can't join Hinduism, but you can practice Hinduism. You just have to practice the Sanatana Dharma values. You can pray your own God. If you want to pray Allah, you can pray to Allah. If you want to pray to Jesus, you can pray to Jesus. If you want to pray to Buddha, you can do that. Any God, even if you're a pagan or a African with a very old God, you can pray to them. Praying your God is not a matter in Hinduism. It is the way you pray to the God. It is what you seek from the God. Do not seek the focus on the God, but feel the divinity within that God. That way of life is Hinduism. So do not, or you cannot convert into Hinduism. You can only practice Hinduism. Practice Hinduism and be happy, because you can feel the divinity, not just focusing on the divine personality. Thanks for watching. This is Jeevan Kumar Vishwakarman, and you are watching Alien Brain English.